this video, which describes how Ed Discovery helps you engineer and synthesize inside Elite. There are 4 panels in Ed Discovery which help you with engineering. The first panel is a recipe-centric view, listing all the recipes. The second panel is an engineering-centric view, listing all the engineers and their recipes. The third panel is for synthesis, and the fourth panel combines the engineering and synthesis panels together to give you a shopping list of all the materials that you need to go and find. The first panel we'll look at is engineering. Click the Add tab to open it. The panel shows all the recipes in Elite and gives you the name, the module and the recipe level. It also looks at your current material state and works out how many of these recipes you can apply at this point. Here we've got 27. If you can actually perform the recipe, the line is in green. The percentage shows how close you are to getting that recipe. For instance, because it's green and we have enough materials, we can execute this and it's at 100%. This one here is only at 67%. So we've got 67% of the needed materials. The 2 columns at the end show the abbreviated name of the materials you need to make this recipe, and it shows which engineers can execute the recipe for you. If you hover over the recipe column, it will show a tooltip showing the names in full. If you double click in the cell, it will change the text to show the names in full. You can use the buttons along the top to filter recipes. You can filter by the recipe name. You can filter by the module. You can filter by the level. You can filter by the engineer. And you can filter by the material. Let's cut down the list by filtering by module type. We'll click None and then we'll click FSD. Now it only shows you the recipes applicable to the FSD module. The characters next to the engineered name indicate whether or not you've been invited or you have access to the engineer. For instance, here I have access to Felicity and I've been invited to Elvira. Now you can let Ed Discovery work out exactly what you need to be able to execute a set of engineering tasks. In the wanted column, enter how many recipes you wish to execute. We'll say 4 for that. It will now indicate that we had 3 goes available. We wanted 4, so therefore the notes will show exactly what we need to actually execute the 4. We need more grid resistors. You can fill the grid up with how many recipes you need, and it will indicate in the notes column exactly what you need to get. At the bottom of the grid will be listed your shopping list. For instance, we need 1 grid resistor. Ed Discovery applies the materials you have to the recipes in the order shown in the grid. If you wish to change the order to indicate that you want to execute a recipe before another one, just left click and drag and move it up. This is indicating you'd rather have the recipe increased FSD range executed first before the faster FSD boot sequence. The grid will update and show you your new order list. The other buttons on the toolbar allow you to clear the wanted column, allow you to change where the current material list comes from. If it's green, it always uses your current total. If it's red, it uses the position of the cursor in the history tab. And the final one allows you to turn on and off word wrap. The next panel is the engineers panel. This panel shows recipes in engineer order, showing you information about the engineer, such as his name, what system he's located in, how far he is from you, what planet he's on, what's the base name of the planet, and also your status with the engineer. It also shows down here how you get knowledge of the engineer and how to actually unlock him or her. If you wish a slightly tighter view of the engineers, click on this button. This loses the knowledge area and compresses the engineer view. The grid for each engineer works in a similar manner to the engineering panel, where you can set the wanted count. The main difference is you can't change the order of the recipes, and it does not deplete your materials as it works through the grid. This is because you cannot indicate on this panel the priority order between engineers. Use the engineering panel to order your recipes in priority order. The grid for each engineer works in a similar manner to the engineering panel. You can enter the wanted count for each recipe. As well as standard engineering, this panel also shows you engineering under other engineering, which is associated with tech brokers and guardians. It also shows you suit and weapons engineering. Again, you have control over the word wrap of the panel. Note the lock item against Bill Turner. This means that the system he's in needs a permit to be able to access him. The third panel is synthesis, which when opens will show you all the synthesis recipes available. Again, you can filter synthesis recipes by recipe name, by the level of the recipe, and you can filter by the material used in the recipe. If you enter a value in the wanted column, it will tell you how many you can make and how many you used. The percentage shows the completion of your material collection towards the target of making one recipe. Finally, the recipe itself is listed with a tooltip to show you what you need, and the number in brackets show you the number that you've currently got of that material. Double click to show the recipe in long form. The cross clears all your wanted columns. This button indicates whether or not to show the number of materials either at the history cursor or your latest total. The final one controls word wrap. The final engineering panel is the shopping list. This panel combines engineering and synthesis in one panel. The synthesis is shown at the top and the engineering at the bottom. At the left is the shopping list. This is made up of the order depending on how many materials you need to get to fulfill your requirements. If we enter some wanted values, you will see that the AFM refill needs 3 tins to fulfill, and thus the shopping list says we need 3 tins. Fill in more entries and the shopping list will update and give you what you need to find. If the shopping list is in its own panel and you select a transparent mode, the shopping list only shows you your order list. This can be useful to place over the Elite window and keep you constantly informed of what you need to find. As you collect materials, the shopping list will update and reduce the totals of required materials. That concludes the video on engineering in Ed Discovery. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out our YouTube channel for other videos showing how to configure and use other aspects of this program. So for now I say bye bye and fly safe, Commanders.